This is 1,000-Year-Old Vampire is a brand new solo role-playing game, which I'm kind of checking out, and it's got beautiful art, like really, really dated patterns and calligraphy going on. It's really got a really gorgeous book. I don't think it's been fully put into production yet. Let's just go through it. 1,000-Year-Old Vampire is a lonely, solo role-playing game in which you chronicle the unlife of a vampire over the many centuries of their existence, beginning with the loss of mortality and ending with their inevitable destruction. So in that, we have a full 1,000 years, maybe, hopefully, if we survive, of characterization that this game will only give us prompts for, and we basically fill in the blanks. They will give us situations and stuff like that, which is a cool way to do it. The game mechanics are simple and intuitive. Play progresses semi-randomly through the prompt section of the book. Answer prompts to learn about your vampire's wants and needs, to learn what challenges they face, and to chart their decline into senescence. It is important to note that there's a rather thorough list of things that are horrible that will appear in this game, because I'm a fan of Vampire the Masquerade, and I think it's important when you start up a game with anyone, even yourself, to understand your boundaries, everyone's boundaries who's playing, and do or do not stray into territory there's abuse in this game. So it's fairly far-reaching. And a lot of it is maybes, because obviously you go to random parts of the book and then create your stories from there, from the prompts. So it does say your character may be injured, victimized, trapped, or killed. Your character will murder and victimize people of all sorts, possibly including children, animals, loved ones, marginalized people, or themselves, engaging in self-harm, drug abuse. There's some really dark themes that may appear when you play a round of this game, and whatever eventually happens, you will have to be cool with that. So there's no point in playing a game and then going and subjecting yourself to things that you don't want to engage with for whatever reason. It doesn't have to be a fully formed reason. You're don't feel like it today. Is this set in an established universe? No, it's not. This is set in the real world, seemingly, but just its own universe, the universe that you create as you play it. What do we need when we play? We need 10-sided dice and a 6-sided dice. If you lack dice, there are number tables in the back, which is awesome. It's not the generic universe, it's the universe. It's set in the world. And we need a way to record the vampire story, which I have over here. I've got, hopefully later we'll actually get to play it, but I've set that up in a Google Doc. And paper and pencil is fine. Digital text tool. I love ways of saying generic things, like sticky back plastic. It's sellotape, mate. It's sellotape. Custom it to make it with Vampire VTM. Create all NPCs and player characters. Run VTM campaign based on what you create. So that's what I was thinking. Essentially, if I had the time and the inclination, I could go through the life of several very old vampires, picking what date they joined the ranks of the undead, and create a whole story for them, and then intertwine it with the others. It's not what this game is about, though. The purpose of this game is to create a full story from beginning to end, creation of the vampire to the destruction of the person sort of story. And I think, at least the first few times I play it, that is probably what I'm going to do. And maybe at some time in the future, I will be able to use it to help prompt ideas for creations of vampires and things in the world of darkness, which is a universe I really, really enjoy. So that's definitely an option for solo role-playing games like this. The vampire whose chronicles you will record is represented by 5 different traits. And these are things that they pick up, they lose, they trade, they exchange, they manipulate and help you build up the prompts and the story as you go along. So they're broken down into memory, skills, resources, characters, and marks, all of which are literally just the things you write down. So you have a list of memories, you write them down. You have a list of skills, you write them down. And I think part of the point of this is that a lot of this game will focus on loss. You're going to be losing things in play or using them up. And memories being one of those is an aspect of vampire kind of lore and like fairy tales that I often ignore. So it's something that I'm quite interested in exploring more, because most of the vampires that I play with, especially on Vampire the Masquerade games, are like brand new, fresh vampires. They haven't got so old that senescence has kind of crept in and changed them, which I guess if you're millennia old will be a problem. Being immortal doesn't necessarily protect you from the ravages of time. In fact, it probably makes you more susceptible to them. That would be my imagining. Memories and experiences are important moments that have shaped your vampire, crystallized in writing. They make up the core of the vampire's self, the things they know and care about. An experience is a particular event. A memory is an arc of experiences that are tied together by subject or theme. And this is where the creativity of the person comes in. The theme is basically yours to choose when the prompts come up. Experiences cover a particular event, but the amount of time represented by that event might vary dramatically. An experience might describe a few seconds of impactful events, or it might cover 200 years of lurking in an old castle. Almost every prompt will create an experience, and experiences eventually combine with one another to become memories. So, there is only so much vampire can remember. To reflect the limitation, there is only a finite amount of space for memories on your record sheet. So these are the things that you write down from the individual prompts. With the remaining Macallan clan in tow, I flee into China. They confiscate our arms, but I am recognized as a gentleman and made guest of a powerful bureaucrat. Russian nobles bribe me to cleanse undeeded lands of freeholders. Oh, okay. I empty the peasants' mines and send them to work my stronghold in the east. Creepy. Calwyn and I construct an enclosed room in the back of our motorhome. At night, he does not see the moon, and during the day, I do not see the sun. I imagine this Russian noble thing would probably take a week, whereas escaping to China, maybe months. Your vampire is allowed 5 memories. Older memories are lost when new experiences, and basically anything you lose in this game, you just cross out. You don't delete it, because at some point later on, you may be able to come back to it and uncross it, essentially, and use it. Here we go. Here are the prompts. There's this is the bit you pay for. So I'm not gonna show it all off, because that would be unfair to the developer. However, it's quite mechanically sound and simple, and it does rely on, I guess, checking off numbers. But the game ends if you are unable to check or lose a skill or resource when required to do so, or if a prompt tells you that the game has ended. So you can random number generate yourself into a corner and die, which, if it seems like fun, well, I don't see why not. You're just doing this on your own. So if you're not happy with how it goes, no one's going to know if you re-roll, which is kind of nice. It is good that it's not, because I kind of hoped that it wouldn't do what a couple of solo role-playing games I've seen over the years do, which is You put a card out of a 52 card pack on the thing, and whatever level it is, that's how many health points it has, or whatever number or whatever. And it gets not interesting when you're fighting a goblin. I could just say I fight a goblin and move on, which I think is what this game kind of lets you do. Unless goblins don't exist, which is not... I wouldn't invent goblins for this. That's something I wouldn't do. There is one way to preserve memories when you run out of space. Instead of losing an existing memory, you can move it into a diary. And vampire diaries, as we know, are super sexy. It is not a decision that the vampire is consciously making. Losing memories is up to me, basically. Which would make sense, because basically everything in this is up to me. And as I continue through this, I'm getting more and more vibes of, I really want to build a vampire with this book, and then put them in a Vampire the Masquerade campaign. That would be a great time. It is not a decision that the vampire is consciously making, blah, blah, blah. Put them in diaries. Okay, so what are diaries? That's the one thing I don't know for certain, because skim reading. A diary can hold up to 4 of your vampire's memories. Unlike memories themselves, diaries are physical objects that are added to your resource list. Oh, it is set wherever you imagine it to be set. And I imagine, for instance, if I set this game going, I would pick somewhere in England because I know England best. But if you are aware of some cool stuff that happens in the Asian continent, or Africa, or the Americas, because we're, 1,000-year-old vampires, we're going to call them by their very old names. The Americas. We could go and be conquistadors. You may freely create a diary whenever you need to move a memory into it. Like any other resource, a diary can be lost. When this happens, strike out the memories it held. Whew. This is rough. Your vampire can have one diary at a time, and it must contain at least one memory. A memory placed in the diary is no longer in the vampire's head. It exists only in the diary, and the vampire accepts whatever is written as truth. You could really mess with yourself this way, like some sort of non-reverse chronological memento. For example, you might write diary next to the memory, or connect it to the diary icon on the character sheet with a drawn arrow. Wait, I didn't realize there was a character sheet. Is there a character sheet? Just going to skip to the bottom because that's where everyone puts character sheets. That's not a character sheet. Oh, yeah. Okay, there it is. Just a thing that says the words that we need. The list of stuff. Skills describe the capabilities and characteristics of your vampire. They indicate what your vampire can do, what they might do. Swordplay, relaxing banter, heavy equipment operation. I do not blink the sand away. And sleep in dampness are all acceptable skills. Can be literally anything, I see. I do like that, though. Oh, God, what was 13th Age? I really like 13th Age. Because instead of having, like, a list of skills, you have a list of previous occupations, like priest or pirate or street rat or whatever. And you get +1 for street rat, +2 for priest, +3 for pirate. And if any applicable skills like piracy come up, anything related to piracy, you get +3 to your roll, right? That's way better than a list of skills. And there's no limit to how you can describe those jobs. And that sort of creativity and skills and abilities is something I always appreciated in 13th Age. Some prompts will instruct you to check a skill. To do this, place a check mark next to that skill on your record sheet. Mechanically, this indicates that the skill has been used. Narratively, a check skill gives you something to flavour your answers to later prompts. If unchecked, skills are what your vampire is capable of. Checked skills are what they have done. So they differentiate, I guess, possible actions and things. Can you put more than one check by a thing? Who the vampire is. Your vampire might have skills you don't want to check. Instead of fighting this, revel in the plight of your humane vampire when they go to help a friend out of a bureaucratic jam and find that the only skill they can check is rage and kill. If you're instructed to lose a skill, strike it out. It is gone and no longer influences the way your vampire moves through the world. Resources are assets or structures, physical things. Ooh, knightly equipage. A diamond tiara. Gonna have so many diamond tiaras. Create contextually appropriate stuff. Oh, hang on. I've not swapped it out. There we go. Create contextually appropriate stuff. It's pretty simple. I think all this game is about is using the prompts to build on a situation, which I think is actually pretty good practice for players and GMs alike. So you want something to happen in a situation, you don't know what might be around, you just make stuff up on the spot. That's the improv practice part of D&D and roleplay games. Like, most people just make stuff up all the time, which is my favorite bit, because you can plan forever, doesn't make any difference. You're going to need to make something up at some point. Lose a resource, strike it out. And I think all of these things, characters, resources, diaries, skills, marks, all work the same way. You can lose them, you can create them in contextually appropriate situations. Let resources figure prominently when you made to strike them out. Don't just lose your mansion, but burn it to the ground, or at least describe a fierce legal battle over the deed. Your rich Flemish vampire will have a fencing foil if one is needed. It's not just a resource which can be spent to satisfy mechanical needs. So you can make stuff up. It's not important to use the resource list as a, be all and end all of the stuff your character carries with them or whatever. Characters are the people with whom your vampire has a relationship. Each character should be named and described in a sentence fragment, such as Lawrence Holmweller, descendant of Baron Holmwer, or Sister Adelpho, a meddlesome nun. Add more descriptors each time you interact with them. Oh, I like that. Descendant of Baron Holmer, freed him from a Turkish prison. Not only in the experiences build together the story, but also in the list of stuff you know and have. If it makes include a character when resolving a prompt, do so if the prompt doesn't tell you to include a character. Character can be mortal or immortal. You'll be told which type when you're instructed to create a new character. Mortals are regular humans. Immortals are supernatural beings for whom time has little meaning. Vampires, angels, demons, ghosts, gods, underground lurkers, invisible shamblers, softly spoken animated corpses. That's cool. You will realize that a mortal must have died of old age. Oh yeah, that's one thing I was wondering. How do mortals exist within your 1,000 years? They die. Simple. Expected. This might happen every 4 or 5 prompts. When it does, strike out the character's name. Haha! Wonderful. Characters cannot be killed unless a prompt tells you to do so. Sweet. Moving on to marks. A mark is a visible indication of your vampire's undying state, or any other thing that sets them apart from mortal people. Okay. An ever-bleeding wound, eyes that are blank and white, a trailing spectre, a ferocious scar, a hollow abdomen full of rats. When creating a mark, consider whether your vampire conceals it and how. Okay, a pair of great bat wings. I cut them off with a saw, but the stubs remain. Ooh. Your eyes are hypnotic, so I must wear smoked glasses. A dark halo I cover with tall military hats. Haha! Animals fear me, children cry. Why is this book calling me out? I'm in this book and I don't like it. What is a vampire? Okay, my favourite part of any supernatural book is the bit where they design exactly which fairy tales or folklore they're going to use to decide what the story is about, what your character is like, and what challenges you will face. So in this one, vampires are characters that we follow through the narrative. 1,000-year-old vampire makes several assumptions. To get the best experience out of this game, your vampire should prey on human beings for sustenance, probably blood, right? should seek to camouflage themselves amongst those on who they feed. This is very classic, romantic vampire stuff. Not the super old ones, the people who... I can't remember, Gothic vampires. Those are the ones who live in castles, never see anyone, have harems of ghouls and stuff. It's very different. And this is more kind of romantic. They should have been a human at one point and still have human needs in one sense or another. Yeah, we know what we're talking about here. Should be susceptible to environmental dangers that regular mortals might not care about, such as sunlight. I think there's no point in messing with classics, right? If I play this now, I will definitely stick with sunlight, fire. People are scared of fire, but destroy instantly on close touching with a match. Practically immortal, mostly a loner. So, an edgelord. That's fine. Vampire creation. Imagine a person from the distant past. A Roman emperor, a Mesopotamian midwife, a French knight. This person will become your vampire. Imagine when and where they were born and who they were in life. Start a memory with one experience that encapsulates their history. So I guess this is probably just because starting off with a full backstory is not the point of this. The point is to create the backstory by going through the game, right? So you just want one sentence. This first experience is a little different than most experiences in that it's a broad summary of the vampire's life before becoming an undead thing. Right, exactly. We're not focused on the life, we're focused on the death. And sooner or later, that memory of who they were before they were a vampire will disappear. They might have fragments, they might have short snippets, but that's so horrifying. Imagine just forgetting the entirety of your life, who you were, where you came from. That's a real thing that happens, right, in real life. But so that must be terrifying. And that will make up the first part of the first memory. Cool. Create at least 3 mortals. Should we do this?